The whir of helicopter blades slicing through the cold Antarctic air marked the beginning of an extraordinary chapter for the eerie explorers. The landscape below was a vast canvas of white, a realm of silence and isolation that stretched into infinity. I, Kenji Sato, with my head-mounted GoPro, aimed to capture every moment of our journey into the unknown, a quest fueled by curiosity and the whispers of our eager followers.
Can you believe we're actually here?
Mia, our lead researcher, shouted over the roar of the helicopter. Her eyes sparkled with excitement, reflecting the pristine snow below.
It's like another planet.
Alex, the tech wizard of our group, replied, his breath fogging up the window as he spoke. The helicopter descended, the snow around us kicking up in a frenzy, as if protesting our invasion. We had arrived in Antarctica, following a trail of coordinates mysteriously sent to our social media account, promising an adventure beyond our wildest dreams. Our first steps on the ice were a dance with nature's raw power. The cold was a living thing, an embrace that chilled to the bone. The sound of our boots crunching on the snow was the only evidence of our presence in this desolate paradise.
All right, team, let's set up base camp. We've got a mystery to unravel.
Mia instructed, her voice a beacon of determination in the vast silence. Our journey from the camp to the site of our discovery was a testament to the human spirit's resilience. Each step was a battle against the wind, a relentless adversary that sought to push us back with every gust. But we pressed on, driven by the promise of discovery. It was Alex who first noticed the anomaly on the ground, a subtle irregularity in the snow's surface.
Guys, over here, look at this!
He called out, his voice muffled by the wind. Gathered around the spot, we began to dig, our shovels and hands working in unison to reveal what lay hidden. The outline of a structure emerged, its architecture an enigma buried beneath the snow.
This is it. This is what we came for,
I said, my voice barely a whisper, yet captured by the GoPro perched on my head. The excitement was palpable, a shared energy that fueled our efforts. As the abandoned research station came into view, its doors sealed by ice and time, the air around us seemed to thicken with anticipation. We stood at the threshold of the unknown, our breaths visible in the air, a testament to the life that dared to venture into this forgotten place. Mia took the lead, her determination mirrored in the faces of our team.
Let's find a way in. There's a story here, a mystery that's been waiting for us,
she said, looking at the camera with a wry smirk on her face, her voice steady and sure. The station's interior was a time capsule, a snapshot of a moment frozen in time. The air was stale, filled with the scent of old paper and the metallic tang of rust. Our headlamps cut through the darkness, revealing desks littered with papers and equipment that whispered tales of a bygone era.
I can't believe this. Look at these documents, Russian, English, and Japanese.
I noted, the languages familiar yet out of place in this icy solitude.
We need to document everything. This could change everything we know about this place,
Mia replied, her voice filled with awe. As we explored the station, the sense of being watched grew. Shadows seemed to move just beyond the reach of our lights, and the silence was heavy, almost oppressive.
Did you hear that?
Alex asked, stopping in his tracks. We all listened, the sound of our own breathing loud in our ears. There was a creak, a sigh of the station settling, or perhaps something more.
This place is alive with secrets?
I murmured, the GoPro capturing the unease in my voice. Our discovery of the abandoned research station was just the beginning. As we delved deeper, uncovering the remnants of experiments and notes scrawled in desperation, the line between science and the supernatural blurred.
We're not alone in this story. There's something here, something that's been waiting,
Mia said, her voice a mix of fear and fascination. The station, with its blend of influences, became a character in our narrative, a silent witness to the events that unfolded. Our presence had awakened something, a presence that lingered in the shadows, watching, waiting. As night fell, a twilight that cast the world in shades of blue and gray, we prepared to spend the night within the station's walls. The cold was a constant companion, a reminder of the isolation that surrounded us.
This is just the beginning,
I said to the camera, my voice a blend of excitement and apprehension.
Whatever secrets this place holds, we're here to uncover them.
The eerie explorers had embarked on an adventure that would test the limits of our courage and curiosity. The abandoned research station was a puzzle, its pieces scattered and hidden, waiting for us to put them together. And as we settled in for the night, the silence of Antarctica enveloping us, I couldn't help but feel that we were part of a story much larger than ourselves, a narrative woven from the fabric of the unknown. This was the unearthly discovery that awaited us in the white expanse of Antarctica, a journey into the heart of mystery and the unknown. The haunting silence of the abandoned research station enveloped us as we ventured deeper, each room revealing layers of a story long forgotten. The chill that hung in the air was more than the physical cold of Antarctica. It was the cold of abandonment, of secrets left untold.
This is like stepping back in time.
I whispered, my voice barely audible. The beam from my headlamp illuminated a room that seemed frozen in the late 20th century. A tableau of daily life abruptly paused. A cup of coffee, its contents now a block of dark brown ice, sat next to an open journal on a desk, papers littered around as if caught in a moment of frantic activity. Mia picked up the journal, her fingers trembling slightly.
Listen to this,
she said, her voice tinged with a mix of excitement and apprehension as she read from the old journal.
We've made groundbreaking discoveries, the likes of which could redefine our understanding of life itself. But there's something else. A presence that we didn't anticipate. It's becoming hard to separate reality from... The rest is illegible, written in a shaky hand.
The air seemed to grow colder as she read, the words a foreboding echo of the past. The station, with its relics of a bygone era, held a story that was slowly unraveling before us, a narrative that was more complex and terrifying than we had imagined. As we moved through the station, we found a room that appeared to be a makeshift laboratory. The equipment, though outdated, was meticulously arranged, a testament to the scientific rigor of those who had worked here. But it was the film reel and additional journal entries that caught our attention, artifacts that promised to shed light on the mysteries of the station. Alex set up the projector, the old machine sputtering to life, casting flickering images on the wall. The film showed scientists at work, their faces alight with the thrill of discovery. They spoke of ancient microbial life forms extracted from the ice, life that predated human existence, the ancients, as they called them.
The potential applications were endless.
One scientist mused on the film, his eyes gleaming with ambition.
Military uses, extending human life. We are on the brink of something monumental.
But as the film progressed and later dates were shown, the tone shifted. The scientists' excitement turned to unease, then to outright terror. The images became disjointed, scenes of the team arguing, equipment malfunctioning, shadows moving in the background in ways that defied explanation. Turning off the projector, we sat in silence, the weight of what we had seen pressing down on us. The journal entries filled in the gaps, recounting the initial triumphs and the growing realization that they had awakened something beyond their understanding.
It's as if the more they discovered, the more reality began to warp around them.
Mia said, her voice low.
They speak of an awakening, something unfathomable connected to the ancients.
The wind howled outside, a reminder of the isolation that surrounded us. We were a team of explorers, united by a thirst for knowledge and the thrill of the unknown. Yet, as we delved into the secrets of the station, we found ourselves facing a narrative that blurred the lines between science and the supernatural.
We need to understand what happened here.
I said, my determination mirrored in the faces of my team.
Not just for our followers, but to honor the work of those who came before us.
Our investigation took on a new urgency, each discovery a piece of the puzzle that was the abandoned research station. Personal belongings scattered throughout the rooms told stories of lives interrupted, of people who had vanished without a trace. As night descended, casting the station in shadows, we gathered in what had once been the common room. The wind outside seemed to carry voices, whispers of the past that beckoned us to listen.
This place, these discoveries, they're a reminder of how little we understand about the world around us.
Mia mused, her gaze lost in the flickering light of our makeshift lanterns. The station, with its echoes of the past, held us in its grasp. We were no longer just explorers, but custodians of a story that bridged the gap between the known and the unknown. As I lay in my sleeping bag, the GoPro by my side, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were not alone. The station, a character in its own right, seemed to whisper secrets in the dark, secrets that were meant for us to uncover.
We're on the brink of something.
I whispered into the GoPro, my voice a blend of fear and excitement.
Tomorrow we delve deeper into the mystery of the ancients, into the heart of the unknown.
The night pressed in, a tangible presence that enveloped the station. As I drifted off to sleep, I dreamed of shadows moving in the ice, of whispers that called from the depths, a siren song that promised to reveal the truth of the ancients and the entity that had been awakened. This was our journey, a quest not just for answers, but for understanding. The abandoned research station, with its layers of history and mystery, was our guide, leading us deeper into the echoes of the past. Day 2 in the abandoned research station brought with it a palpable shift in the atmosphere. What had begun as an adventure steeped in curiosity and the thrill of the unknown now teetered on the edge of an abyss, the darkness below whispering promises of madness. The first signs were subtle, almost dismissible. Tools we had meticulously organized the night before were found out of place, their disarray unexplained. Shadows seemed to flicker at the edges of our vision, dancing just beyond the reach of our headlamps. Our technology, our lifeline to the outside world, failed at crucial moments, leaving us momentarily adrift in a sea of isolation. But it was the whispers that unsettled me the most. Whispers in the dead of night, a time when the silence of the Antarctic should have been absolute. They were soft, indecipherable, yet undeniably present, as if the station itself had found a voice. The effect on the team was immediate and unnerving. Paranoia began to weave its insidious threads through our minds, drawing us tighter into its grip. The question lingered in the air, unspoken, yet omnipresent. Were these mere symptoms of our isolation, or had we awakened something far more sinister? The first to succumb to the station's insidious influence was Daniel. A seasoned explorer, his mind had always been as sturdy as the ice that surrounded us. Yet, one night, captured by the silent gaze of my GoPro, he was found wandering the corridors, barefoot and mumbling incoherently. The footage, a silent witness to his unraveling, showed him speaking to shadows that weren't there, his words a jumble of sounds without meaning. His disappearance into the night was as silent as the snow that fell ceaselessly outside. Despite our efforts, Daniel was gone, swallowed by the icy embrace of the Antarctic, leaving behind a void filled with questions and a growing dread. Mia, our pillar of strength, began to fray at the edges. Her scientific mind, once so adept at unraveling the mysteries of the world, now grappled with the possibility that some mysteries were not meant to be solved.
The impact of bad bacteria. It can alter perception, influence behavior.
She muttered one evening, her gaze distant.
But this is different.
The station's influence grew stronger, its presence more oppressive. When Alex vanished, his absence a gaping hole in our dwindling team, Mia's resolve shattered.
We need to leave.
She insisted, her voice edged with panic.
We need to find Alex. Get out of this place.
Her fear was a mirror to my own, yet something within me urged us to continue, to delve deeper into the bowels of the station.
Alex wouldn't just leave.
I found myself saying, the words feeling foreign as they left my lips.
We need to finish what we started, uncover the truth.
Was it truly me speaking? Or was I merely a puppet, my strings pulled by the unseen entity that haunted our every step? The station seemed to come alive around us, its corridors whispering secrets, its shadows moving with intent. The line between reality and madness blurred, each moment a battle against the creeping dread that threatened to consume us. As we prepared to venture into the lower levels of the station, the weight of our situation pressed down upon us. The isolation, once merely a physical barrier, had become a crucible, testing the limits of our sanity, fracturing the bonds that held our team together. The entity, whatever it was played us like pieces on a chessboard, manipulating our perceptions, driving wedges between us. The realization that we were not battling merely the elements, but something that defied natural laws, was a cold hand around our hearts. In the quiet moments, when the whispers grew too insistent to ignore, I wondered if our quest for knowledge had led us into a trap. The station, with its echoes of past horrors and its suffocating presence, seemed to revel in our unraveling. Mia's resolve, once the glue that held us together, now hung by a thread. Her eyes, when she looked at me, held a mix of fear and accusation.
What if it's too late?
She whispered, her voice a fragile thing.
What if we've already lost?
The question lingered in the air between us, unanswered. The truth was, I didn't know. All I knew was that we had to press on, to face whatever lay in the depths of the station. To turn back now would be to admit defeat, to leave the mysteries of this place unexplored, the fate of our friends unanswered. As we descended into the lower levels, the air grew colder, the darkness more absolute. The entity, whatever it was, seemed to grow stronger here, its influence more direct. The very walls of the station seemed to pulse with a life of their own, a heartbeat in the ice. This was our reality now, a world where the line between the natural and the supernatural had been irrevocably blurred. Our minds, frayed by the isolation and the creeping dread, struggled to make sense of what we were experiencing. But still, we pressed on, driven by a need to uncover the truth, to confront the entity that lurked in the shadows. The station, with its buried secrets and its whispered threats, was both our prison and our proving ground. In the heart of Antarctica, surrounded by ice and darkness, we faced our fears, our minds teetering on the edge of madness. The creeping dread was our constant companion, a reminder of the price of delving into the unknown. The second night at the station brought with it a darkness deeper than the Antarctic winter outside. Our dreams, once escapes from the harsh reality of our expedition, became nightmares that clung to us even after we awoke. Each of us tormented by visions of being chased, tormented, and devoured by an unseen malevolence that seemed to feed on our fear. The morning, marked only by the sterile beep of our alarms, found us a shell of our former selves. Our faces, once full of determination and curiosity, now bore the jarring marks of sleepless terror. Dark circles hung under Mia's eyes like heavy clouds, her usually vibrant demeanor dimmed to a flicker. Alex's face, typically animated by a joke or a smile, was now drawn and pale, his eyes darting to corners of the room as if expecting the shadows to come alive. My own reflection in the small, cracked mirror showed a stranger, eyes wide and unseeing, haunted by the memories of dreams too real to dismiss. Confusion reigned as we gathered, our bodies present but our minds adrift in the remnants of our nightmares. The air between us was thick with unsaid fears, our sanity fraying at the edges like a rope too long in the storm.
We're not thinking clearly.
Mia muttered, her voice a shadow of its usual confidence.
These hallucinations, they're not just dreams. They're a symptom, a warning.
Her words hung in the air, heavy with the implication of our dire situation. The station, once a silent tomb of ice and secrets, now felt alive with an ominous presence. Our GoPro, the silent witness to our ordeal, recorded nothing but the empty rooms and corridors, a stark contrast to the beings we swore we saw flickering in our peripheral vision.
It's the bacteria.
Alex said, his voice tinged with a manic edge.
We've all been exposed to something airborne, something ancient. It's messing with our heads.
His theory, born from the hallucinatory state we found ourselves in, was as terrifying as it was plausible. The ancient bacteria, unleashed by the previous team's experiments, had anchored itself to the station, a malevolent force that fed on our fear and confusion.
Our only chance is to fight it on its own terms.
I found myself saying, the plan forming in my mind as if whispered by the station itself.
We use one of us as bait, distract it long enough for the others to make a break for it.
The decision to volunteer was made in silence, a look shared between us that spoke volumes. The weight of sacrifice hung heavy in the air, a burden that none of us had expected to bear. As we prepared for our desperate stand, the station seemed to mock us, its corridors echoing with the sounds of our preparations. Our plan was as audacious as it was simple, born from scientific knowledge and nonsensical musings on fighting ancient bacterial infections. The climax of our ordeal was a heart-wrenching gamble, a confrontation with an adversary unseen but deeply felt. Our minds, under the influence of powerful hallucinations, became the battleground. Visions of shadowy figures darted around us, their forms just out of reach, as we enacted our plan. I watched through the lens of my GoPro, now pointed at myself, as the others made their escape, their figures blurring into the white void beyond the station's doors. The silence that followed was a living thing, filled with the whispers of the wind and the echoing footsteps of my team fading into the distance. In that desolate chamber I found myself in, as the boundaries between the real and the unimaginable began to dissolve, the entity that had haunted our every step revealed itself in a form so horrific, defied the very essence of nature's law. This macabre beast, birthed from the darkest crevices of ancient ice and human folly, stood as a testament to the forbidden secrets we had unearthed. It emerged from the shadows, a writhing mass of darkness that seemed to suck the very light from the air. Its form was fluid, constantly shifting, as if composed of the very ice and wind that defined this forsaken continent. Yet, within this chaos of form, there were moments of terrifying clarity. Eyes, if they could be called that, flickered into existence within the mass, glowing with a malevolent intelligence that bore into my soul. They were countless, shifting across its surface like stars in a night sky gone mad, each gaze a needle of ice piercing my heart. The body of the entity was a grotesque parody of life. Limbs, too numerous to count, shifting and morphing into themselves, extended from the central mass, each ending in talons that seemed forged from the frozen darkness itself. These limbs moved with a purpose, reaching, grasping, as if seeking to pull the very warmth from my body and leave nothing but desolation in its wake. Its skin, a tapestry of ice and shadow, writhed with images of our deepest fears. Faces, twisted in agony, appeared and vanished within its form, their screams silent in the cold air. A macabre display of the entity's power to consume not just the flesh, but the very essence of its victims. The air around it crackled with the sound of shifting ice, a constant low moan that spoke of ancient hunger and endless malice. The cold it exuded was not just physical, but existential, a chill that threatened to extinguish the very flame of life within me. As it moved towards me, the reality around us seemed to warp, the walls of the station bending inward, the very fabric of existence straining under the weight of its presence. The shadows it cast were not mere absences of light, but voids, tears in the world through which the coldest winds of the Antarctic howled. Facing the entity, I stood on the precipice of madness, my mind stretched to its limit by the sheer impossibility of what I beheld. This was no creature of flesh and blood, but a being of ancient ice and darkness. Nightmare made manifest by our intrusion into realms beyond our understanding. Its advance was the slow, inexorable spread of night at the end of the world, a darkness to swallow all hope. And as it enveloped me, the last thing I saw was the flicker of my GoPro light, a feeble beacon against the overwhelming tide of ancient and unspeakable horror. The entity, whatever it was, seemed to pause, its attention now focused solely on me. The air grew colder, the shadows deeper, as I waited for the inevitable. My final act, recorded in the silent gaze of the GoPro, was a message to those who might find it, a warning to stay away from the secrets buried beneath the ice. As I faced the entity, my mind teetered on the edge of madness, the hallucinations intensifying until the line between reality and nightmare blurred into oblivion. The last thing I remember was the sensation of being pulled into the shadows, the entity's presence enveloping me in an embrace as cold as the Antarctic night. The fate of the others, whether they made it to safety or if their escape was just another hallucination, remained a mystery to me at the time. The station, with its secrets and its ancient guardian, stood as a silent sentinel in the ice, its story a whisper on the howling winds. the desperate stand of the eerie explorers against an unseen adversary is a testament to the human spirit's resilience, a battle fought not just for survival, but for understanding. In the end, the sacrifice made in the heart of Antarctica serves as a reminder of the dangers of delving too deep into the unknown, of awakening things that were meant to remain hidden. As the wind continues to whisper through the abandoned corridors of the station, the story of our ordeal remains, captured in the silent footage of a GoPro, a cautionary tale of curiosity, madness, and the indomitable will to survive. The aftermath of our harrowing experience in the Antarctic Research Station was a surreal blur of rescue operations and disbelief. The rescue team, prompted by the emergency signal Alex had somehow managed to send off in a moment of lucidity, arrived to find us a shadow of our former selves. Our relief at being saved was overshadowed by the urgent pleas to retrieve the one we had left behind, sealed within the station as a sacrifice to ensure our escape. Their attempts to breach the station, however, were futile. The door, as if welded by the very ice that whispered of ancient secrets, refused to yield. And then, as if to protect its newly reclaimed secret, a storm descended with ferocious intensity, obscuring the station from sight, burying it once again beneath the snow, as if it had never been disturbed. The disbelief with which the rescue team met our tales was a heavy blow. They attributed our stories to the ramblings of minds undone by frostbite and the relentless isolation of the Antarctic. No evidence of the macabre entity we described could be found on the GoPro footage, which showed only empty rooms and the desolate corridors of the station. The whispers of the night, the shifting shadows, the horrifying visage of the entity, all were absent, leaving our accounts to sound like the fevered dreams of the delirious. As the helicopter carried us away from that cursed place, the medics tended to our frostbitten bodies and fractured minds. But it was clear that what we had endured could not be healed by bandages and medicine alone. The station, and the entity it housed, had marked us in ways that went beyond the physical. We were changed, haunted by the knowledge of what lay hidden beneath the ice, a truth too terrifying for the world to believe. The silence that had once been our constant companion in the Antarctic now followed us, a reminder of what we had lost and what remained, lurking in the shadows of our memories. The member we left behind, sealed in his ice tomb with the entity, became a ghost that haunted our waking hours and tormented our dreams. His sacrifice, a testament to the human will to survive, was also a burden that each of us would carry, a reminder of the cost of our curiosity. As we returned to the world of the living, the legacy of our lost companion and the entity that remained entombed in the ice weighed heavily upon us. The whispers of the past, of secrets too dark and deep for the human mind to comprehend, promised to return. The Antarctic, with its pristine beauty and hidden horrors, was a reminder of the thin veil that separates the known from the unknown, the natural from the supernatural. Our experience at the station, a story of survival against an incomprehensible adversary, left us with more questions than answers. Where does reality end and the supernatural begin? What lies hidden in the unexplored corners of the world, waiting to be awakened by human curiosity? The silence after our rescue was a testament to the mysteries that remain unsolved, to the stories untold, and the truths buried beneath the ice. It was a silence that spoke of the enduring allure of the unknown and the indelible mark it leaves on those who dare to confront it. In the end, we were but mere players in a story much larger than ourselves, a story that continues to whisper from the depths, a haunting echo of the ancient and the eternal.
We hope you have enjoyed this episode of Quantum Dispatches and stay tuned next week for another thrilling adventure. Thank you for listening.